Welcome to the June 17th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. We're glad to be here at the Wakanda Club with all of those of you here in person, those about watching our live stream, and those watching later on our YouTube channel. Welcome to all of you. Hard to believe, but I have only 2 more meetings as your president. Yeah, thanks. And thanks to Invictus Media for providing our live stream service today. And now, Carter Smith will give a better than mediocre moment of inspiration, followed by the pledge and the 4-way test.
You all can be a judge of that, I guess. But hi, everyone. So today, wanted to talk about gratitude. This week, on 4 separate occasions, I've seen friends and colleagues I hadn't seen in 15 months, and just for me, just had an overwhelmingly lot of gratitude this week. So everyone knows what gratitude is, but I wanted to share just a few scientifically proven facts about gratitude. Of course, gratitude leads to greater happiness. I think a lot of us know that. But I also found that gratitude leads to better physical health. You can sleep better, sleep longer if you share more gratitude. And then also it builds stronger relationships with those around us. So we're going to go through a gratitude exercise. So I'm going to give everyone 10 seconds. And if you can think of one thing you're grateful for, or something you're grateful for that has occurred in this past week. So I'll give you 10 seconds. All right, and I know we have limited time, but anyone brave enough to shout out what they're grateful for? Anyone? Air conditioning? How about maybe 2 others? One more? Family? Third one? Good health. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I will say, President Doug, super grateful for your term this year, and thanks for all you do for the club. So, with that, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. And now the 4-way test. Truth is fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you. You have a wife?
Waving to your fellow Rotarians, do I? Well, we're pleased to have about 45 of you with us today here in attendance. And we also have a few prospective members as well. So welcome to all of you. Happy birthday today to past President Tom Carpenter. He's out somewhere celebrating like it's 1999. Thanks to those of you who have signed up to help with the June 26 Meals from the Market, benefiting DMARC. Jason made an announcement last week, needing 9 more volunteers, and we got them. With those officially on board for volunteering, you should have received an email from Jason with details and a volunteer waiver. Nice job, Rotarians, stepping up and getting those slots filled. Now, it is my honor to introduce one of our new members, Carla. You can come on up. I don't bite too hard. Carla Wildbrenner McCullum is the new Executive Director of Sister States since July 2020. Carla spent her career prior to Iowa Sister States in higher education as Director of Admissions for domestic and international students at North Central Missouri College. Go Pirates. and then as Director of International Affairs at Indian Hills College in Ottumwa. Go Warriors. Did you help recruit some of the good men's basketball players they have? Good job. Several of them got to Iowa State. In Carla's previous role as Director of International Affairs at Indian Hills, she developed relationships with over 36 countries and got to travel to 25 countries to bring students to the U.S. Got some good frequent flyer miles there. Carla has developed and opened new markets by seeking out, developing, and maintaining key local, state, regional, national, and international relationships, including forming partnership agreements with other higher education institutions, building relationships with the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Department of State Education, USA offices, foreign country ministries of education, and U.S. and foreign consulates and embassies. Wow, pretty impressive. The skills and connections obtained in her previous roles have benefited Carla in her new role as executive of Iowa Sister States. The mission of ISS, of citizen diplomacy, is a natural continuation of her previous roles in education. Iowa Sister States, like education, make a difference one person at a time. The people-to-people connections between citizens of Iowa and international citizens truly changes lives. And now Carla can focus on more areas than just education, yet still make the same impact, which drives her every day to do a job well done. Carla's biggest career accomplishment was being selected to present as an expert in the field of international recruitment and admissions in Washington, D.C. in May of 2019. Carla says her greatest personal accomplishment is having raised two wonderful daughters. A fun fact about Carla is she is a multiple birth. That is, she is a triplet. All three girls, Carla, Kelly, and Kimberly. Wow. And they look alike, she says. It was important to Carla to join Rotary Club of Des Moines to not only network and to get to know Des Moines, since she is originally from southern Iowa, but also the mission of Rotary is the mission that has guided Carla all through her life's work, which is the mission of citizen diplomacy, connecting people and making people's lives better one by one. Let's give Carla a big welcome. And again, how did I ever get to be president? We have people like that here. Speaking of new members, as I keep saying, June is membership month. And as I keep saying, every month is membership month. This June, we're doing an extra push. We have been emailing and sending details in our weekly bulletin to help you share the Rotary Club of Des Moines experience. There's also information out on the table in the lobby. So Rotarians, go forth and bring us new members to our club. Now I would like to ask our program chair, well, for the next 2 weeks anyway, Kyle McCormick, to introduce today's keynote speaker. But before that, a quick reminder. When it's time for questions for our speaker, to come up here to the front. Katie will hand you a microphone that's been thoroughly sanitized, she tells me. And you're going to hold that. You're going to state your name for the live streaming guests, and then ask your question. And hold the microphone up by your mouth so people can hear you. And we will sanitize the microphone between most speakers anyway. Or Kitty says all of them, I guess. With that, Kyle.
Thank you. Billi Hunt was named the executive director of the Cultivation Corridor in February 2018. She brings 20 years of experience in agriculture and the Iowa business community to the corridor's efforts to enhance agricultural sustainability and accelerate business development by attracting new companies, talent, and capital to central Iowa. She works with Cultivation Corridor investors, partners, and other organizations to build the corridor brand and broaden opportunities within the region. An Iowa native, Hunt received her Bachelor's of Science from Iowa State University and her Master's of Public Administration from Drake University. She and her husband, Mike Elam, and children live in Urbandale, Iowa. Thank you, Billi, for sharing your time today and bringing your insights. So without further ado, a warm Rotary welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here today. I've been invited many times to come as guest of people, usually on Ag Day, which is usually in April, March, April timeframe. So it's an honor to speak. But before I get started, I always kind of like to know, so who's in the room? So I'm going to ask you to stand if you are yes to this question. And I'm guessing by the end, most people hopefully will be standing. So who grew up on a farm? Who knows someone who works in the food and ag industry? Is everyone up? Usually I have to say who eats food, and then I get everyone up. But that kind of helps us understand the food and ag supply chain. It is truly an honor to get to represent the investors of America's Cultivation Corridor and lead the work to drive innovation not only in the state, but connect our innovators here to the world and world innovators to us. So when we talk about agriculture in Iowa, most people think of corn, soybeans, maybe Henry A. Wallace. Usually people go to Norman Borlaug. But one thing people honestly forget is our global leadership role. So hopefully after I get through the conversation today, you'll see how this all ties together. You'll see opportunities of how we are connecting people, but you'll also go home and think about and respect the food and ag industry and what it means not only to your family, but to the state and to our impact globally. So I'm going to start with, thank you for teaching me how to do that. We're going to start with a quick video.
The world needs a place where innovation, science, and technology converge to solve our global population challenges. It starts here, in Iowa, America's Cultivation Corridor. Iowa is where you'll find the most fertile ground in the world. But we're not just growing crops and livestock to help feed the world. Here, we're cultivating the science and innovation to sustain its ever-growing population. Plant and animal sciences, biorenewables, predictive agriculture, research development, and advanced manufacturing. Because this isn't just the most fertile ground to grow, it's the most fertile place to be groundbreaking. Iowa is where you can innovate, collaborate, start up, settle down, network, and get to work. Because here in America's Cultivation Corridor, the things this ground can grow, well, the sky's the limit.
So in the past year, I haven't had an opportunity to be in an audience or speaking in front of a crowd where you can actually see the people. And that was kind of cool. I got goosebumps watching that. So maybe I'm in the right job. The charter of the corridor, it was started in 2014 by a collaboration by the city of Ames, Iowa State University, and the Greater Des Moines Partnership to really start elevating the innovations, the work that is happening in this industry. If you remember back 2008, 9, 10, our state really hit it hard. The financial downturn in the financial insurance industry really kind of opened people's eyes that in all of this, how did our state's economy still meet the state budget and still grow? It was because of food and agriculture. So leaders said, we need to start lifting that up. There have been more innovators. Even though Norman Borlaug is someone we all revere, there have been innovators every day in this industry, and we hold on to that. So how do we tell that story at a higher level? Our goal at the end of the day is to get more innovation in the industry, help with sustainability, grow workforce, grow capital, and grow businesses that are here. So our focus is partnering to drive innovation and to connect those innovations, building awareness of truly who we are and why the world looks at Iowa for innovations in the industry. Bring resources together. We're all better when we work together. There's no need to be copying everyone and everyone doing the same thing. So how do we look at that? Support economic development. Obviously, if we drive innovation, we work on marketing and branding, economic development should follow. And then how do we lead in policy leadership? One quick story I want to tell regarding economic development. During 2020, no, let's just tell the last 2 months. I'll just tell the last 2 months. In the state of Iowa, businesses in the state recommitted to more capital investment, infrastructure investment at their facilities at the rate of $235 million. Since I came up with that last week, Cargill just announced in Eddyville another $300 million. We could potentially hit $1 billion in reinvestment in the industry this year. We'll be close, I think. That's just crazy when you think of everything going on that people are recommitting. But they're recommitting, and they're recommitting here because we have the business leadership here. We have farmer leadership here. Our state has stayed open during COVID. We're here to drive business and to bring food to the world. So our investors, I always like to kind of highlight this. I am truly blessed, and if you're online or watching this on YouTube, you're gonna find a spelling mistake in here. I'll see if you can find it. We corrected it before I started today. But the Ames Chamber of Commerce, Corteva, a lot of people always say, who's Corteva? That's the Pioneer DuPont business right up there in Johnston. Deere and Company, Greater Des Moines Partnership. Hy-Vee's coming on board this month as an investor. Corn Promotion Board, Pork Producers, Iowa State University, and oh my goodness, if you guys haven't been to Iowa State lately, you need to get there. From the Student Innovation Center to what's happening at the Research Park is absolutely amazing. How many people in here know where the Iowa State Research Park is? Great. I would encourage you, if you haven't been up there in the last year, drive south of 30 when you turn off at Ames and just drive around. You're gonna be amazed with all these company names. You don't know who they are, but they're there because we lead. And they are startups, they are ones thriving, they are driving the new innovation. ISG, an engineering firm here in Des Moines, is a part of it. Kent, Mid-American Energy, Iowa Farm Bureau, Renewable Energy Group based in Ames as well, and Sukup Manufacturing, all leaders in the industry. Did you guys know that Sukup Manufacturing is the third largest grain storage company based right in Sheffield, Iowa, and that is globally. The third largest in the world is Sheffield, Iowa. And they're hiring. I think all these companies are hiring. We're all hiring, right? So those are our investors, but what are we doing to drive innovation and connect innovation? I wanted to highlight our program. If you read the business record this weekend, you would have seen it highlighted in there. We launched the Cultivo Virtual Academy. It was supposed to be an event in 2020 where we were bringing international startups here, but what was the word of 2020? Pivot. We pivoted, and we brought that onto online virtual academy, which actually worked way better probably than what we could have done. We connected with 6 leading international startups. They're all leaders in their home country, and connected them to Iowa leadership, helping them look at what's it gonna look like if you're gonna enter the US market in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, selfishly, we hope they do it right here. We hope by building these connections, providing them with knowledge, they want to bring their global or their US headquarters to Iowa. Hopefully Iowa State University, Des Moines, we'd all be happy. So we have companies up here that deal with taking biomass to make xylitol, a natural food sweetener. We have a company that is working with grain elevators on sourcing their corn immediately from harvest. We have this guy is awesome. He's looking at if we regulate temperatures better from the processor to transportation all the way to the grocery store, increased shelf life, 3 weeks. 3 weeks to increase shelf life. All because we need to monitor temperatures better. That helps with sustainability as well because we're not having food waste. This lady, I love her, Katie from Australia, she's working on safety, on-farm safety. Her and her mother started their company. They've taken no additional funds. They're one of the top ag startups in all of Australia. And then we have an irrigation company. But what we did is we had weekly online classes. We connected them with Iowa leadership in farming, Iowa leadership in the corporation world. ISU faculty was amazing. All of them agreed to mentor when we reached out, and we connected them with others as needed. So that program, what it has allowed, again, this might be the long way to economic development, but it works. Of those 6 companies, 70 plus connections were made and counting. That could be made with Smithville Corporation. It could be made with Corteva, John Deere. It was made with Iowa businesses here that can help their businesses grow. 93% of our investors were engaged in the process. 29 industry leaders were engaged. So I know a former Des Moines Rotarian was Paul Schickler, former president of Pioneer. He spoke, and all of them like, how did you make that connection? I'm like, because in Iowa, we just help each other. You know, and he did it for free. They were all like, I mean, you have the former president that you can text. That's why you come to Iowa to do your business in this industry, because we will help you succeed. We had 6 graduates, interesting, 8 ongoing opportunities for the state of Iowa right now. That ongoing opportunity could be one swinging by next week to just tour and visit. They actually have a North America presence too, but they're looking at, we know we can't succeed unless we're not in the Midwest. Another one signed an agreement to be the U.S. Financial advisor to the company. An Iowa business, an accounting firm right here in Des Moines is going to do their U.S. Financial work. One of them is going to sign a proof of concept agreement with a multinational company. If it works in 2022 with them, that company thinks they can take it definitely throughout the U.S., likely globally. So that startup is going to find success in their home state of Australia, but because we made one connection here, they could go global. So those are the types of opportunities we're looking at. They're long-term economic development opportunities, but they're legit. So when you come over here to, is it the truth? Yeah, we lead. It's the truth. We're not misleading you. Is it fair to all concerned? Absolutely. Is it goodwill? Does it do better friendships? This is all relationship work. I mean, we fit all of this. Is it beneficial? Absolutely. So when you were going through that today, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's what we're doing. So that's what we're doing on the innovation front. Connect the global innovators to us right here, because you know what? Everyone in the U.S. is fighting for each other's startups in the U.S. So fine, you guys fight in the backyard. We'll go global. And it's working. The Iowa startup ecosystem. This is really fun to look at. So in 2020, during the start of COVID, there was over $145 million raised by all of Iowa startups. Half of that came to the food and ag industry. Our ecosystem's getting more mature. We're going after bigger deals. One startup got $40 million in one round. So if you have a good idea, what we often hear is you can't raise money. No, if you have a good idea, the money finds you. And our startups are hitting above their weight limit on this, only because of all the relationships we have to build them up and get them connected. You saw great change in the Iowa State innovation programs. They really consolidated all of their entrepreneurship programs. The Iowa Startup Factory, the Papa John Center, the Go-to-Market Accelerator, all fit together under one roof now at Iowa State. That's made a big difference. Greater Des Moines kind of has a predictive ag hub. That predictive ag hub is just north in the Urbandale, what do they call it? The Urbandale Loop. That's the new term. So you have John Deere's ISG facility. They hope to have 800 AI computer developers, programmers right up there in Johnston. You go 2 miles north of that, you have Granular, which is the same type of opportunity, but that's part of the Corteva family. But if you go just, I'm thinking maybe 2 miles directly west of the John Deere ISG facility, you have the Hy-Vee data center of hundreds of jobs. So we're creating this really neat nucleus right up there on the urban loop that all these startups want to come and be a part of. So what one startup told me that is based out of Des Moines, yeah, it's great. They come into town. Corteva takes them out for a fancy dinner, spends thousands on these investors or these other partners. Then they go to John Deere the next day. I meet them at McDonald's on their way to the airport. Works really well on our budget. So that's part of this ecosystem we're building. It really does work. We're seeing the Iowa State faculty truly engaging all over the state on these startups. President Winterstein has done a phenomenal job unleashing them to help others. BioConnect Iowa is another program that's working on bringing financing and funding opportunities. And then I can't not say this with Denise in the back of the room. The Iowa State Research Park is doing phenomenal right now. Denise sits on their board, so she can probably give you even more insight. But they have gone from over 100,000 square feet a year ago down to 4,000 available square feet. People are coming here to innovate, grow, and develop. See, I get a fun job. I get to talk all the good stuff. I used to have to lobby. This is so much better. So how are we telling our story? I'm a child of the 80s, went to college in the 90s. So MC Hammer, kind of a friend of mine. My husband rolls his eyes every time I put this on a slide. But the message here is, you can't touch this. We are so good. We lead. No one can touch our leadership role in the state in animal science, especially when we put the USDA veterinary labs and Ames in on this. You have plant science. Come on, we're kind of cool there. Biomass processing. Not only are we doing ethanol, we're doing soy biodiesel. They're looking at Innovata bioprocessing for natural gas using corn stover. There is so much going on that front. You could probably even toss industrial hemp into that area. And there's parts of the state really trying to look at how do we do industrial hemp and make money on that. Predictive agriculture, that's anything AI, smartphone driven, anything that there's a data, computer science or stat person working on it. We dump that into the predictive agriculture frame. Advanced manufacturing. John Deere is based in Moline. John Deere has their most employees right here. Most facilities in the country right here. Most partnerships with Iowa State University. Now, do not write this down, but I'm guessing John Deere is probably the #1 partner at Iowa State, especially in the College of Ag, and finding new innovations working with Iowa State faculty. And then food processing. We cannot forget, we have a really strong footprint in small and medium-sized food processing. We're not like Minnesota and Minneapolis and have the Hormels and have the General Mills, but we do a lot of that early stuff that then feeds into their systems. So do not forget small and medium-sized food processing. We're great on that. And he's grabbing my 5 minutes. Morning. So we'll skip that part. Let's just agree to grow Iowa and do it with food and agriculture. Any comments, questions? Skeet, I'm looking at you.
Thanks, Billy. I'm Skeet Wooten, and Billy and I know each other from Leadership Iowa in a galaxy far, far away.
Back with MC Hammer.
Back with MC Hammer. Yeah, that's correct. I didn't know who he was then, and I still don't. Regardless, the the investments that these companies make, and then they take that money and they invest in these startup companies. Do they do it as an equity interest? Is it debt? Is it how does the financing part of that work?
So when you look at especially accelerators and incubators and part of the startup system, they're always investing something for some equity. Like that $40 million startup round, it's investing for some equity. One problem we ran into with Cultivo is we were just asking them to pay a price to be a part of it, and we wanted no equity in their group. So you're going to see everything, but most of it's coming in for equity to help with it. The other thing that I have learned in my almost 4 years, wow, that goes fast here, is that it's okay to be a serial entrepreneur. I think Iowans struggle with that. When we look at Henry A. Wallace and that grew into Pioneer, we think everyone should hold on to their company, grow it into something. But what we're seeing is these guys just want to come up with a great idea, create it, sell it off, and come with another one. So when it comes to serial entrepreneurs, for the state of Iowa's best interest is we make it welcoming for them to come here. So hopefully they keep creating companies here. So we look at Smart Ag in Ames at the research park. It's a driverless tractor technology. They ended up selling that to Raven Technologies Raven Equipment out of South Dakota. They're keeping the facility here because we had the workers happy here, but that's all technology that could easily go north to South Dakota. But because of Iowa State University, the connections they have, they're staying here. So I think the most important part for us is not to fear these startups selling their technology. It's how do we make it so hard for them to take the technology out of here? Did that answer your question? Okay. Other questions? Oh, there's always one that like you have to defer and say you'll get back to because you don't want to answer. There's got to be one. Oh, so this is interesting. I was just out with some girlfriends on Saturday night. That was a similar question because one of our friends is about ready to sell off his company, and their family put just $50,000 into it, and they probably made $2 million. You know, it just depends. It depends on how hungry they are. Most startups start with what they call the friends and family ask, and they bring all the friends and family and give me 10,000, give me whatever to get started. So I would say never say no to an investment if it aligns with your core soul purpose, you know, where you want to be. But you have to be ready to understand that sometimes these aren't going to win. So they may have scored big on this round, and it's a family farm that invested in it, but they know that his next venture, they may not score anything on. So you have to manage that. But you probably have better success with that than you do at Prairie Meadows.
Mark Snell, sorry. With the wide variety of supporters that you have that are part of your group, could you talk just a little bit about the governance structure and how often those players are involved with you in the interaction, and to what extent the financial commitment is actually involved here? Are we talking like 7 figures? Are we 6 figures? Or is it mainly the fact that you're leveraging what is brought in with a whole bunch of other stuff? You've mentioned a little bit about that, but if you could just address the governance structure and how it all works.
So, yeah, our governance structure, I am so lucky. So we also have advisors that serve on our board. Debbie Durham, Director of Iowa Economic Development Authority. Secretary Mike Naig is a part of it. And they're like, how do you get all these people to show up? I am very lucky. So with our board of directors, usually we have the CEO or a top senior executive of that company that sits on our board. And they're pretty focused. They know what they need me to work on. And then they know I better do it, or, you know, they'll find someone else, right? That's pretty easy. But I'm very blessed that they're heavily engaged. And I can reach out to any of them at any point of the day, and I'm still shocked that, they return my call as quickly as they do. Each investor, depending on the structure of their corporation or the institution that they're representing, is giving a 5-digit type contribution to our work. Some are higher, some are lower, just depending on how it works. Some of those that give at the higher level probably give anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 in additional in-kind support or ways to help drive things forward if we need more sponsorships to pull something off. It is very clear that they want us to focus on celebrating innovation that happens in the industry, celebrating that all of these innovations drive greater sustainability, focusing on how do we tell the story of how great Iowa is because all of them want to hire more people here. That is the value they are looking for. President Winterstein, I love having lunch with her because it's never an hour lunch. It's usually 2-3 hour lunch. But they are very clear and very supportive that we only win if all the sectors of the industry are working together to drive momentum forward. Did that answer it, Mark? I'm very blessed to have come in and not had to start it. I got to come in after a couple of years and get, just fine tune it and keep it going. But none of this happens without our great investors. Someone's clapping. That means it's time for me to go. I'll be around afterwards if you have questions.
Thank you, Billy, for sharing your story with us today. Very entertaining. And we are donating the book, The Leaf Detective, How Margaret Lohman Uncovered Secrets in the Rainforest. We're donating that to the Downtown School Library in your honor, and I know you've inscribed some words of encouragement to our young readers. Thank you for being with us, everyone here in person today, those out watching our live stream or watching later on our YouTube channel. Upcoming speakers. June 24th, Jamie Fitzgerald, Polk County Auditor. July 1st, no meeting. Don't show up here. You have to buy your own lunch if you do. Because of our Independence Day holiday. July 8th, Laura Kelly of 515 Farms. You may recognize this one, as Laura is the spouse of Rotarian Corey Kelly, and they shared their 515 Farm story as a Zoom fellowship meeting earlier this year. Again, thanks for everyone being here with us today and part of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. And Rotary is about making connections, and it's always interesting to sit up here at the head table and listen to some connections that are made. We introduced Carla today of Iowa's sister states. She didn't know Billy, and now there's a connection. Obviously, those two organizations can work together now, so just happened they were able to sit at the same table today. And in keeping with my theme of to leave something behind, on this day in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York. Think about over the 12 million immigrants during the next 62 years that saw the statue off in the distance as they approach their new country. For many of them, they truly did leave everything behind. Family, friends, what few possessions they may have owned. All to seek a better life for themselves and to sometimes hope that they could be able to get more of their family to join them. They were not promised anything when they arrived, only the opportunity. The rest was up to them. We are adjourned.